Okay, this video is meant for training to my assistant manager. I own 154 units in Killeen at this time in Texas, and I think this video is going to be helpful for the new hiree I'm going to hire, but also I plan to put it on YouTube, and I think that anybody that is related to the industry can get a few ideas, especially somebody that owns an apartment complex and want to train somebody with the very basics. So I'm not going to touch right now about the criteria for the one bedroom and the two bedroom because this can change. But let's start about the qualifying question to ask before showing an apartment. Obviously, we want to qualify the prospects over the phone. We don't want to waste our time and gas money and maybe bad experience with them face to face. And that's why we want to qualify them over the phone or also over the internet, to ask a bunch of questions. So I also created a Google form. Okay, to the same degree you have Google Sheets, you have also Google Forms, and over there I created a link with a lot of questions. I think it's more or less the same questions here. And whenever I have an ad, if it's on Craigslist or apartments.com, I put that link. I tell them, hey, if you want to save some time over the phone, just fill this questionnaire. And then, the prospect is going to fill all the questionnaire, how much income he makes, if he had any evictions, or things of that nature. And then, instead of, once he finishes it, we'll see it on the Google form database. And that way we're going to save time, not talking to prospects that's definitely not going to be qualified. And also we can just save time instead of talking over the phone. We can just save time to ask all these questions if you already answered the questions on the Google form. But anyway, now we're talking about qualifying over the phone. Okay, so before I can give you some info on the apartment, please answer a few questions. How many adults will be living over there? This is a very important question because if we have one applicant and the applicant has good background, no evictions, no serious crimes, but he answered that there are going to be actually two people over there. We want to get an application. For us, it costs about $30, but we want to do a background check on the second applicant. Okay, so that is why it's very, very important to ask how many adults, because we don't want just, to have one applicant, which is good, but then the second occupant going to be, somebody that is not, compatible, if he has bad background or whatever. By the way, we at this time, we don't look so much about credit. We cannot have somebody that had an eviction in the past 7 years, and also he obviously needs to have a proof of income. The proof of income going to be, never mind, how much the multiplier going to be, but also the person cannot have any serious crimes. Serious crimes for me is assault. We don't want any person that is violent, that has some violent potential. Not to say that all the people with a violent offense are bad people, but it's just an extra risk, so that's something we don't want. We don't want, major offenses. Anyway, what address do you want to live in? Okay, if we have a lot of ads with different addresses, it's important that we will know more or less what address we want to live at. This is again what I said. I don't have a problem with DUI. And I don't have any problem with marijuana possession or a few other misdemeanors, but but basically, all the other serious crimes, I do have a problem. How much net income this person brings, and of course, we're going to qualify it. Is it a pay stub, proof of income, or is it like a entitlement letter, fixed like SSI, award letter actually? What kind of pets do you have? I mean, we charge a pet fee, $150 per cat, $250 per dog. Any evictions in the past 7 years? So like I said, we cannot have it. What did I wrote here? Okay, I already covered it with you guys. Okay, I mean, the new hire, he should feel free to talk to me, to the owner, if he's not sure if to approve somebody regarding a new lease. We charge, I already covered it, regarding the pet fee, we charge $150 to $250 per animal, but you guys can charge more. Oh, and we do payment arrangements on that. Because if somebody cannot have all the moving cost of the pet fee and the deposit, we let them split it to maybe like 5 months or whatever. If the person says she had an eviction, okay. So there is a website, it's called mrlandlord.com. We have an account with them, and in that website we it's going to cost us about $25, and we can see, the background, if the person had any crimes, any evictions, stuff like that. So we definitely want to check in that site, mrlandlord.com. And there are other good websites, but this is the one we're using. We don't care what reason he got evicted. The fact that this person didn't made it happen and got evicted, that's something that not going to work for us. By the way, this Mr. Landlord is also a debt reporting. So if somebody owes money, he breached the lease and moved out in the middle of the lease, and he's owing money. So what we do, we report it. We write exactly what happened, how much money he owes, condition of the apartment, all this kind of stuff, and then we report it to the credit bureaus, and Mr. Landlord also have their own law firm, and they send a letter to the tenant, and if the law firm managed to collect the money, we're gonna get some kind of percentage of the money. I think like 60%. Okay, what else? Yeah, $25. Okay. Okay, we have a promotion about paying in advance. I don't want to really talk about it at this time. But sometimes, when we have a bunch of vacancies, we can have somebody, instead of bringing a proof of income, he can just pay a lot of months in advance, and we're also going to let him in. But he still has to pass the background, meaning no evictions, no serious crimes. Okay, this is an example of an addendum. You will need to pay on the first. Okay. So yeah, it's important to make sure that the new assistant will know how to prorate the rent. You basically, because when a person moves in, if the rent is $360, I know it's very low, but let's say the rent is $360, so that's divided by 30 days. I believe is 360 divided by 30 days. Oh, okay, it's $12 a day. So If he moved on the third, so he doesn't need to pay for the first and the second of the month. So he needs to pay 360 minus $24 because he moved in on the third. Pet fee. I said security deposit payment arrangement. Yeah, we can do that. Denials for rentings. No, we don't. Yeah, we have a bunch of companies. We don't really want to let them to give them any apartments. A bunch of employers, when a person doesn't pay rent on the 4th. Okay. So here in Texas, we need to give them a paper that is called a 3 days notice to vacate the apartment. On the 4th, we give it to them. We need to give them by hand or mail it. It can be regular mail. Now, if the tenant within 3 days doesn't pay, we're going to file an eviction on the 7th or the 8th. Here in Killeen, Texas, it costs about $160 only to file an eviction. And we can do a payment arrangement in a way that if he pays like half of the rent now, and then the second half on the 15th, so we're just going to wait until the 15th to make sure he paid everything. And on the 15th, I expect him to pay the late fees as well. We charge a minimum late fees of $50. So that's something we can do. We can work a payment plan, but he has to pay. If he doesn't want us to file eviction on the 7th or the 8th, he has to pay at least half. Okay, the call give you forms. On the call, I have to then it move out. Okay. How long it takes for so let's say we filed an eviction on the 7th. How fast we're going to see the judge here in Killeen, Texas? So it takes about maybe like 10 days or so, 10 business days. So usually around like the 20th of the month or something, we're going to see the judge. And then the judge will order 5 business days for the tenant to move out. So essentially, by the end of the month, you can have a judgment against the tenant. 95% of the times, whenever you have a judgment, the tenant does move out. And then 5% of the time, the tenant still doesn't move out. And we can call the constable, and then they're going to move out the tenant forcefully. And that's going to cost an additional about $180. What is a writ of possession? That means basically the right of the landlord to possess the property after the tenant got a judgment of eviction. How many? Half now. Okay, I explained to you that. Yeah, the new hiree, he needs to know the good attributes of every apartment he's going to show, right? We want to get tenants, so we need to sell the apartment. I mean, I know it's kind of like, common sense, but, just stuff, just examples, we got, washer dryer hookups close to the grocery, backyard spacious. This is the kind of attributes that we can talk about. Rent collection on apartment complexes. Tenants supposed to drop. Okay. We work mostly based on money orders. We got a drop box in the apartment complexes. We don't accept personal checks. Another way the tenants can do, they can ask for the bank account info, and they can deposit it in the bank account. and they need to send me, the property manager, a picture of the deposit slip, and then we're gonna verify that the deposit was deposited in the bank account. And there are other ways, there are like softwares online, like Cozy they can pay it through a credit card, but it's going to take about 7 days for you to see the money. But there are many different type of softwares that cost some money, and you can accept money via credit cards, or maybe they can PayPal you or Venmo you or stuff like that. On the money order, we need to tell them they need to write their address, because some of the tenants don't write their address, or don't write the name of the tenant, and that way we don't know who to credit this amount to, this rent amount. So this is the first part of the operation manual regarding apartment complex.